The character of Captain Shaw from Star Trek Picard Season 3 was, without doubt, one of the highlights of that season. He had a role to play. He was a fantastic foil for Riker and Picard.
No.
No.
No. Well, that's fun. Anyone else want to throw more weird shit at me?
I'm assuming you're not referring to cannabis.
Sadly, no.
He was on that Borg cube, setting the world on fire!
Basically, when it comes to rescues from danger, you two have a real chicken and egg thing happening.
And of course, a source of conflict for 7 of 9.
This was you. You just loyaltied your way to the end of a career.
As you know, Captain Shaw died in the second to last episode called Vox. I think killing him off was a mistake, but it's also likely that the writers didn't necessarily know just how much of a positive impact Todd Stashwick and his character would have. Shaw has become a fan favourite. I've previously said that I think he should be brought back to life somehow and incorporated into a new Star Trek series. However, upon further reflection, I've actually changed my mind about this. Although I think there are reasonable methods to have Todd Stashwick as Captain Shaw on screen again, I don't think resurrecting the character from the dead is one of them. So what do I mean by this? Well, the reason I've started thinking this way is because I saw a recent interview that Dan Murrell did with Picard Season 3 showrunner Terry Matalas. The link to the full interview is below, and I recommend that you subscribe to Dan's channel. He does fantastic work. Now, in this interview, Matalas says the following about Admiral Shelby. She was, of course, shot on the bridge of the Enterprise in the same episode and presumed dead. Terry says, "It's funny, I never got the sense that Shelby is dead. Like, I don't know if those are set necessarily to kill," referring to the phasers. But they have to be set to kill because the instructions given to the Borg by the collective were
Eliminate all unassimilated.
Eliminate all unassimilated. And of course, Shaw was killed a few moments later by a Borgified Titan crew member, obviously using a phaser set to kill. In the interests of consistency, I don't believe there's a good argument for Shelby to have survived because the instructions from the collective were eliminate all unassimilated, not incapacitate all unassimilated or stun all unassimilated. Clearly, the phasers were set to kill. I mean, she gets shot twice at point-blank range. I don't see how she could have survived this. Terry continues, "She got a couple of burns in her, but yeah, I saw a lot of that. They fridged Shelby. Well, I guess it's supposed to be jarring. But yeah, I understand the criticism. I feel like Shelby is probably okay. If you were ever to come back, probably Shelby is fine." And then Terry goes on to talk about Ro Laren. Well, I mean, if you look at it, the comm chirps off a good 6 seconds before the ship blows up. And the idea is that it was more about framing them for the deaths. And there was a scene in which Picard and Seven found Tuvok and her on the Intrepid with the other Starfleet officers that had been doppelgangered, if you will. And there was this nice reunion. In fact, I found the script pages for it. There's even a pass of the scene where Ro is part of the promotion of 7 of 9 in that scene as well. Now, I have to confess, I have a problem with this. Ro Laren's death was a perfect end for her character because it brought her arc to a fitting and satisfying close, especially because that episode, Imposters, brilliantly dealt with her relationship with Picard. Both of them ironed out their differences and reconciled. Her sacrifice felt earned and significant. It paid off her backstory and raised the stakes in the overall Changeling conspiracy at that point in the season. It was a deeply profound and emotional conclusion for the character. But if it turns out that Ro is in fact not dead, then it completely undercuts the meaningful death that she had. I'm also not thrilled about the idea that Captain Kirk's remains were taken from Viridian 3 and placed in Daystrom Station for the same reason. Sure, Kirk's death in Generations wasn't great, but his final actions were at least heroic. And let's be honest, it's not like he died being spoon-fed in a nursing home and having his diapers changed. Most people in real life don't get extraordinary deaths, even extraordinary people. But in the grand scheme of things, as disappointing as his death was, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, and let's face it, 1994 is a long time ago now. I've made peace with the fact that Captain Kirk is dead, so leave it be. Let the dead rest. I also think that Ro Laren, Admiral Shelby, and Captain Shaw should also be allowed to stay dead. If we keep getting fake outs when it comes to character deaths, or if the writers keep bringing characters back from the dead, it just means that there's never any real sense of danger or peril, because we know that characters can be very cheaply brought back. It also demonstrates a lack of conviction in the decision making, I think. If you kill a character, stick with it. Commit to that choice. Now, that's not to say that we can't see these characters after they've been killed. Maybe we could have mirror universe versions of them, or flashbacks, dream sequences, or on the holodeck, for example. But retconning their deaths so that they didn't happen, or even straight up resurrecting characters from the dead, just means that death becomes meaningless in Star Trek. Now, resurrection can be done sparingly, like with Spock, for example, but if it's done too often, it loses its impact. And then, when you go back and rewatch those episodes again, where the character originally died, it completely changes your perspective on those events. You now know that it doesn't mean anything. It wrecks their death scene. It diffuses any sense of drama or tension in the story, because there can always be a reset button if the character is killed. This is the reason I've changed my mind about resurrecting Shaw, because where does it end? Bringing back dead characters in science fiction has become a lazy trend, and a way of pandering to a vocal subsection of the fan base who refuse to accept that their favourite characters can die. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. The Dave Cullen Show is made possible by you, my generous subscribers. If you'd like to support my work, head on over to my Subscribe star, linked below in the description box, and for a pledge of as little as $1 per month, you can help to keep the show going. I'm also doing one-to-one monthly subscriber chats. Thanks again. Take care.